Welcome back to the Theory of Motivation. I'm Dr. Edge Butterfield, talking to you about content theories of motivation. This is our sixth video of the series, and if you have not watched the first introduction video, I strongly recommend you to do so, as it puts the whole subject of motivation into context. In our first video of this series on motivation, we introduced what is meant by motivation and the types of motivation theory. The remainder of this video is a series split into two main groups of theory: process and content theories. In videos 2, 3 and 4, we introduced and explained three process motivational theories: Vroom's expectancy theory, Adams' equity theory, and Locke's goal-setting theory. In video 5, I described what is meant by the content theory of motivation, and followed this by explaining our first example of content theory, that of Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. In this, our sixth video on motivation, I will explain McGregor's theory X and theory Y. Douglas McGregor was an advocate of the human relations approach to the study of management, and was interested in what motivates people to work. His main focus of work was on how our beliefs shape our behavior. His work has been influential in the areas of organizational studies, communication, and management studies. As we'll see later, he drew on Maslow's hierarchy of needs model, which we discussed in video 5 of this series. McGregor developed a leadership theory about organization and management, in which he represented two opposing views about people. He referred to these two views as theory X and theory Y. His conclusion was that the style of leadership depends on the manager's perception of people. Whilst not his personal view, McGregor identified that traditional organizations worked on the carrot and stick approach. He called this the theory X approach, which was based on the following assumptions. The average person is lazy and has an inherent dislike of work. Most people lack ambition, dislike responsibility, and prefer to be led. They are inherently self-centered and indifferent to organizational needs. They are by nature resistant to change, and they are gullible, not very smart, and easily manipulated. Linking into Maslow's hierarchy of needs, McGregor stated that under theory X, motivation only occurs at the physiological and security levels. The authoritarian leadership style was therefore seen as the most appropriate leadership style in theory X. This means that the system of rewards and punishments works best for them. It also means that the tasks and how these should be executed must be laid down in detail with strict controls and policies. The problem with this approach is that the boss considers the workers as lazy, which in turn creates a controlling environment where the workers comply and yet are not very happy with working in such conditions. The management of the logistics centres for major organisations have recently been criticised in the media for using this approach towards their workers. Others argue that it is necessary in boring and repetitive work environments, such as production lines. McGregor identified that force breeds counterforces. This means that theory X beliefs lead managers to use controlling practices, and there is often some form of resistance on the part of workers, which means that the outcome will not be very good if people are working at resistance instead of concentrating on their work. This poor level of results then reinforces the theory X beliefs about the employees. If this cycle is repeated each day, then it reinforces a negative working environment, and the outcome is not very good for anyone. Because of this potential detrimental effect, McGregor introduced theory Y, which was more towards his point of view. That is, for most people, work is as natural as play or rest. People will exercise self-direction and self-control in the service of objectives to which they are committed. They do not need external control and threats. Commitment to objectives is a function of rewards associated with their achievement. Given the right conditions, the average person can learn to accept and to seek responsibility. The capacity for creativity in solving organizational problems is distributed widely in the population. The intellectual potential of the average person is only partially utilized. Motivation occurs at the affiliation, esteem, and self-actualization levels, as well as the physiological and security levels. Theory Y invites renewal processes, and motivation can be traced back to the style of leadership. Theory Y therefore assumes that control, rewards, and punishments are not the only ways to stimulate people. People can focus on the objectives they pursue through self-direction and self-control. As a result of a democratic leadership style, Theory Y allows the employees to have a greater say. Encouragement and rewards are used rather than control and coercion. Employees are given an opportunity to develop themselves and put their capabilities to good use. If an organization does not respond to this, employees will start looking for possibilities to deploy their skills outside their work. Initially, they may focus on hobbies, committee and voluntary work, but eventually this can result in seeking another job. Earlier I showed that McGregor used Maslow's hierarchy of needs to show that under Theory X, managers only saw motivation occurring at the physiological and security levels. However, McGregor felt that organizations were missing out, and with Theory Y, it is possible to tap into the other needs that all people have. He did not see Theory X and Theory Y as opposites. He saw them as a continuum on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and as the people were encouraged to become engaged in these higher levels, so they would work hard and enjoy the work as they do it. As we leave McGregor's work on motivation, it is also important to understand that Theory X and Theory Y managers often see their perceptions of people confirmed. The more open and democratic approach of Theory Y helps to make people feel comfortable, and as a result they commit themselves to the organization and their work. On the other hand, a Theory X approach to management is often met with a situation where cause and effect are reversed. Employees who are accustomed to coercion and control do not make any effort to take on responsibility or increase their effort. This brings to an end our explanation of McGregor's Theory X and Theory Y. Thus far, in this second part of our video series, we have explained what content theory means. We introduced 5 content theories: Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, McGregor's Theory X and Theory Y, Alderfer's ERG theory, McClelland's need theory, and Hertzberg's two-factor theory. In video 5, we explained the first of the content theories, Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory. We have just explained McGregor's Theory X and Theory Y. The next video in this series is the third content theory of motivation, Alderfer's ERG theory. It is now time for you to move on in our series and enjoy video 7.